What's going on YouTube, and welcome back once again to the channel. In this video I'm going to be doing my post week 3 USFL power rankings, and without further ado, let's begin. Coming in at number 8, I have the Memphis Showboats, who lost again to the Houston Gamblers in a game where they were leading with seconds remaining but allowed the touchdown there at the end of the game. The Showboats are by far the worst team. They're the only team without the win yet, and they have just not looked good whatsoever. Coming in at number 7, I have the Houston Gamblers, who were able to get the W. They are now 1-2. Kenji Bahar led a pretty awesome game-winning drive at the end of the game. The Gamblers, they still have a lot to figure out, but it was good for them to get that first win. Coming in at number 6, I have the Philadelphia Stars dropping down, the team that went the Northern Division reigning champs, who have now dropped to 1-2. Just lost to the Marlers, and the Stars were 1-2 last year and still made it all the way to the championship. And by the way, all 4 seasons of the USFL going back to the 80s, the Stars have made it to the USFL championship. Fun little nugget there. But yeah, the Stars, their offensive line just is really bad. Case Cookus needs some more help, and to add to it, he needs some more protection, but at times he's also holding the ball too long. He seems pretty reluctant to take checkdowns. Like, there was a lot of moments in the game where he had a drag route, he had the flat route, and he didn't take it, and he forced something downfield. So part of the problem is too Case Cookus. They need to figure something out in a hurry. Coming in at number 5, I have the Pittsburgh Marauders. This is probably the highest I've ever had them over the last 2 seasons. The Marlers were able to get the win. It was a big time win. They struggled a bit in the red zone, but they were able to do enough just to get the win. Their defense played well, and their defense really hasn't been the problem through the first few weeks. It's been the offense giving short fields to the opposing team. That's how a lot of teams have gotten their touchdowns. And they scored their first offensive touchdown in this game against the Stars. Coming in at number 4, I have the Panthers, who lost to the Generals in a rough game for them. They ended up losing it 28-13. Their offense was completely shut down. They ended up benching Josh Love and bringing in Carson Strong. Yeah, I mean, it was a rough game after a couple of promising games for them. Their defense was able to keep them in the game for a little bit there in the second half, but ultimately it really amounted to nothing. And DeAndre Johnson, the quarterback of the Generals, ran all over them. But the Panthers are still tied for the best record in the North at 2-1. It's still been a promising start. We'll see how they respond next week, and we'll see what they do at the quarterback position. I mean, Josh Love had been playing pretty well these first couple of weeks. I don't think they should abandon ship on him this quick and have a carousel going, but Mike Nolan has a track record of doing such going back to his NFL days, so we will see how that is handled. But yeah, they got the loss. And then coming in at number 3, as I just mentioned, the New Jersey Generals were able to get the win over the Panthers. So far this season is shaping out the way last year did for the Generals. A week 1 loss and then bounce back really well after. They are now all of a sudden back in first place in the Northern Division with that win over the Panthers, because now they have tiebreaker and they're both 2-1. DeAndre Johnson played the whole game. Originally the plan was for DeAndre Johnson to play the first 3 series, and then Dakota Prukop comes in and then see what they do from there. But after the first 3 series ended in touchdowns, they just kept Johnson in there, and they ended up winning the game. Their defense played really well, as usual, when it comes to the Generals, except for week 1 this year. So the Generals are definitely back on track, and we'll see how they continue to grow throughout this season. But they're definitely the team to beat in the Northern Division right now, especially with the fall of the Stars. And if you even go back to last year, the Stars were 6-4, the Generals were 9-1. And the Stars beat them, but you can make an argument the Generals were the best team in the North last year, even though they didn't win the Northern Championship. And then coming in at number 2, a shocking one, just when you think they looked unstoppable, this is their league, and blah, blah, blah. The Stallions, they lost 45-31. They could not keep up with the New Orleans Breakers. The Stallions, you know, their offense wasn't all that bad, but it wasn't the same as it's been. It was a little bit inconsistent. Alex Magoo was taking a lot of hits. Jamar Smith, by the way, is out for the year, so it's really just the Alex Magoo show now at the quarterback position. But their defense that has looked so good over the first couple of weeks and going back to last year completely got pounced, allowing 45 points. They are now 2-1, and that was a pretty wild loss for them. I did not see it coming that way, losing 45-31. I mean, that's not a blowout by any means, but losing by 2 touchdowns and, you know, a team that's oriented on defense to losing that high scoring of a game can never be that good. And it just didn't look like the same Stallions team we have seen over the last, you know, 2 games in a season. So we'll definitely be seeing this team again in the Breakers later in the year in the regular season and possibly again in the playoffs. They played them 3 times last year and beat them all 3. They have a very good chance of playing them 3 times again this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how that rivalry continues to grow. And then coming in at number 1, obviously I have the New Orleans Breakers are able to get the win. Wes Hills, the running back, completely took over the game. He had almost 200 yards rushing. He carried the ball well over 30 times, which is absurd. But he kept popping 7-8 yard runs consistently. The Stallions could not stop the run for their lives. They struggled stopping the pass too. And the Breakers defense didn't play great, but it played, you know, it made the stops that they needed to in key situations. And yeah, but that is definitely something to look at with the Breakers. Their defense did not play that well last week against the Gamblers. This week, you know, you allowed 31 points again. Not ideal. They're currently allowing a decent amount of points per game, but, you know, that isn't stopping them from being the only unbeaten team. Yes, it's still earlier in the year, still a long way to go. We're not even at week 4, so I don't want to say that they're undefeated, even though, yes, they technically are. They haven't even played everybody yet, but, you know, they are definitely right now the top team, and it's funny how much of a difference a week made. You know, I was thinking last week that maybe the Breakers weren't really, you know, a top dog. I think I had them ranked number 4, but, you know, I'm moving them up to 1 after what they did to the Stallions. You gotta put them number 1 for right now. That was a heck of a win for John DeFilippo and his squad. But yeah, comment down below what you guys think about this. What do you think? How is this gonna unfold? Who's the top dog right now? I mean, obviously it's the Breakers, but I guess in terms of, are they still the favorite in your opinion? But other than that, I will see you guys next time.